A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to Nerf Secret Revealed Aftersought. And now, let me tell you, there was one rival blaster I talked about called the Helios, but how about its older cousin, the Apollo? This was in fact one of the first rivals blasters that we pretty much got our hands on, and for something that came all the way back around 2015, this thing really does a lot. Although this is in fact just a 2018 reskin of it from the Camo series, but I can say for sure that it really does a lot. Partly because, well, this cocking mechanism on the top, it's pretty unique for what it is. And yeah, I mean, Drac actually gave this a pretty low rating. If you haven't seen the Rivals, well, tier list that Drac made last year, then I suggest you go ahead and check it out at some point. But anyways, here's an example of the usage of the 12-round magazine in action. And look at that. That's about 6 or 7 inches from the end over here to the nub at the end of the magazine itself. It's more than a foot long anyway, so in general, there's just not much I have left to say about that. But what I will say about this in general is that, well, the Apollo shouldn't have gotten such a low rating off of this because it's actually a pretty good blaster in general. The stock is somewhat questionable here because I don't even know, because I just don't feel uncomfortable using it like this in any way. I could just hold it like this, but it would kind of seem awkward because of how big the magazine is, and combined with the fact that the stock is nearly a foot long. Yeah. So I don't really find anything wrong with this, actually. That's the big problem I've tried to find with some others who have given ratings about this blaster in any way. Because I have no trouble using it, for one, and for two, this is also a blaster that does not have that much noise built into it. As I've said before, the Helios was actually not bad at all. The Deimos was even better when it came to the auditory department of trying to be quiet or whatnot, but this one, I guess it falls in between both of those. So the Helios and Deimos are pretty much on the high end and low end at this point, and this is pretty much the middle of what that is, pretty much. So, once again, let's go ahead and try ourselves, whoops. Let's go ahead and try ourselves a little something different and use ourselves a little invisible action. Yeah, I'm killing it. I'm doing pretty good here, as it turns out. Yeah, I tell you, all this time I'm pretty much doing, with all these reviews and the like, I'm just seeing a lot of big noticeable changes in here. Lots of good ones, a few bad ones, but hey, what can I do about it? Hardly anything as far as I can tell, but anyways, compared to that of the Helios and Deimos, two other blasters that I've just been reviewing not long ago, this one in particular has a lot of pretty good quirks to it that really make it a much better blaster than what it was declared to be. Its ergonomics are pretty decent, actually, even though this little part at the end of the grip here tends to get in the way sometimes. And the magazine release as well, it's not necessarily as marked as some of the other blasters were. Like sometimes it's in a different color, but on this one in particular, you can see that the magazine release button is kind of in the same color as the grip, which doesn't really make it much easier, but in general, there's also the safety latch over here, which is just a simple button that can be pressed on both sides. This side means it's engaged. This side means that it's disengaged. As for the jamming, well, there's a jamming latch over here in the back, yet again, just like the Helios. So you can probably say that the Helios and Apollo are kind of like siblings when it comes to the Rivals lineup. So in general, I could probably consider the Apollo to be somewhat better than the Helios because, wow, the potential of its rate of fire is significantly better, because if you look at the Helios, yeah, its auto-retracting bolt action on the side doesn't really do much better to help in a way. But nevertheless, the Apollo, based on a personal rating, when I gave the Deimos a 9.1, I could really expect this one to do a whole lot better, but like I said, it's kind of in the middle between how the Helios and the Deimos worked, so I'd pretty much give this one about an 8.0 maybe. Yeah, it might be that high for sure, but that's only because maybe people like Drac and the like, they shouldn't have given such low ratings to blasters like that, because they kind of fail to see the big potential in them unless they took a closer look at it like I just did. So yeah, my gripes though with some blasters are pretty much not over yet, though unsurprisingly I do have a few that I will want to talk about at some point, especially with tomorrow's episode where I talk about yet another Alpha Strike blaster. Not this one in particular. It's a different one. A much newer one, if you will. But if you want to see that, and if you want to see more go down on my channel, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.